Hello and welcome, it's day 5 and the last day of the 4th running of the Tour of Beijing as we go for a little tour around the capital city of the People's Republic of China today. The riders facing up to their final stage. It's a flat one. It takes them away from Tiananmen Square and up to the Bird's Nest Piazza, which is where the Olympic Games had their main epicenter during 2008 here in Beijing. We're treated to a very tight finish on this year's 4th edition of the event in both the race for the leaders' red jersey and indeed the race for the leaders' green jersey on points, because they are tied very closely by just a single point there between two riders, Tyler Farrer of the USA and Team Garmin-Sharp and Luka Mecic, who is on Team Giant Shimano and the current leader by a single point. Beijing by night and by day 2, lovely blue skies, the famous smog which greeted the opening day of this race now all but a memory as the riders prepare to go back in time to 2008 as we go into the Olympic Park here. The famous water cube, the Bird's Nest, where the Olympic fame shone brightly for what were an excellent games. And the Winter Olympics could well replace the Summer Olympics here in 2022 because Beijing is in the running for the Winter Olympiad. Out on course as we look at what happened yesterday, the remnants of the breakaway as we were getting towards the Miaofeng mountain, and the battle would all become a story of the race for the first finish and who would wear the next red jersey of race leadership. Julian Vermont was in a breakaway. The last survivor, he had 21 seconds behind at the start of his attack, and he only needed to win with a little bit of a gap to take the lead, but it wasn't to be. He was wiped out by a group of some 25 riders, and Philippe Gilbert was a member of that group and keeping an eye on everyone. An attack by rider Hejadal came to naught inside 1.5 kilometers to the finish as the field lined up behind him, including the race favourite, his teammate Dan Martin in second place here. Samuel Sanchez, the Olympic champion of 2008 here in Beijing, did hard work in the service of his team captain and race leader Philippe Gilbert. Then came the attack, the expected attack by Martin here as he put in a big move. It was going to be the longest sprint of his life as he tried to open up. He only needed a small gap plus the 10-second win bonus to take the lead. He'd started the day only 11 seconds behind Philippe Gilbert, who was quickly chasing on the back wheel of the former world champion Rui Costa. Two world champions racing the 3rd and 4th, while it was the young Colombian rider Esteban Chavez who was on the back wheel of Martin. But as they approached the line, Chavez cracked a little bit, and now Martin had the gap. Would it be enough to take the race lead? He got the victory, but a 3rd place sprint there by Philippe Gilbert, although at this point he thought he had lost the race lead to the rider alongside him. Dan Martin, in fact, had not quite done enough to take the overall lead of the race. But he had some great consolation in winning the stage to the top of the Miaofeng mountain and its famous temple up here. So the stage results saw a 2-second victory over Esteban Chavez, Gilbert and Rui Costa. Then the rest came in 10 seconds back. So the top 3 finishes there would be the top 3 overall in a slightly different order. The stage victory and a big hug from the Panda because his Garmin-Sharp team support the WWF and the endangered species. Gilbert kept for a 3rd day his red jersey of race leader by just 3 seconds, and that included a 2-second bonus for his 3rd place. Dan Martin and then Esteban Chavez up into 3rd, and the new best young rider in the event, and he wears a white jersey as leader today. There was also a change in the points competition, and Luka Mecic took the green jersey back, and they'll battle that to the line today in a sprint down here outside the Bird's Nest. The stage today is a very simple one. Everybody assembling outside the famous Tiananmen Square in the center of Beijing. That's recognized as the center of Beijing. Then running along roads normally packed with traffic but totally closed for the race. They've already arrived on the finishing circuit, which is 12 laps of just under 8 kilometers per lap. as we go back to the start, which was approximately an hour ago. The red jersey of Gilbert, a bit more relaxed now as he signs in. There's no fear of a hill at the finish today. His main support there, passing over the pen, TJ Van Garderen. Lost his own personal chance on day one and 18 minutes went away. Dan Martin here, tried for the victory less today, sits 3 seconds off the red jersey. Lost the race by 10 seconds a year ago. Esteban Chavez, he's the white jersey on the far side, as he signs in as well. Ryder Hagedal, another rider who has had a marvellous race and almost stole the show. Adam Hansen en route to his home in Cairns, Australia, riding his last World Tour event, as they all are, of the 2014 season. Back in green for Luka Mecic. He won this stage a year ago. He won the first stage this time so far. He'll be confident he can do it again. The one man who has other ideas here, Tyler Farrar. If he wins the stage, he also wins the green jersey being worn today by Mecic. 15 green jersey points for the man that wins the stage today. Sasha Modelo, he signs in, a good sprinter, potential winner at the end of the stage today. We are assuming it will be a sprint of the field, as it normally is. This was the start as we assembled outside at Tiananmen Square, where the riders all signed in for the short ride of about 18-20 kilometers across Beijing and into the Olympic Park. The winner of the King of the Mountains competition, Mikel Golash, only won one professional race in his life. It was the National Championship of Poland in 2012. This is Carlos Bentancur reaching up and signing in. 17 World Tour teams in all here, the best teams in the world. Bit of fun and games with the Movistar team from Spain. They had the winner here this time last year in Benya in Saudi, but off to a bad start and lost 18 minutes on the opening day. Now, which he carries number 200, this young man. So he's just signed in at the bottom. Well done. He's become the mascot of the Tour of Beijing. So there are all of the leaders there. Not in the picture, the white jersey of best young rider, Esteban Chavez. The VIPs getting the race underway. These are pictures of just an hour ago, before we join the live action. Rolling away from Tiananmen Square. It was here on October the 1st, 1949, where they had the founding ceremony of the People's Republic of China. So it's generally accepted that this really is the center of Beijing, home of the Forbidden City, of course. And the riders going right around the square before they begin their journey towards the Bird's Nest and the piazza there. So the main field making a gentle start on totally closed road, 6-lane highway. Goodness knows it is a logistical nightmare to close the center of Beijing. The traffic never stops here. But what a wonderful job that the Chinese have done in organizing this race. So safe. We've seen the beauty surrounding China in these 5 days. Each year the organizers have got that little bit more ambitious to take the race away from the center of Beijing, up into the hills, which abound about 2.5 to 3 hours to the north and northwest. And it's in those mountains, they hope, in 2022, where they will hold the Winter Olympiad. Beijing's got the application in, and they are hoping they will get the result. There's a nice view as we head towards downtown Beijing on this, the 5th and final day of not just today, this year's Tour of Beijing. I'm sorry to say that the Tour of Beijing rolls to a halt after 4 organizations. There's the famous stadium that we first came to see in the dark of 2008, when it was all lit up in amazing lights for the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. Now let's go down to the action. We're now moving forward by just 65 minutes since they started. on the way, and 2 riders went clear from the gun. The man in blue here, Laurent Mangel, who was in the breakaway on the second day of the race and in fact awarded the most aggressive rider. Well, he said he was very nervous this morning, the Frenchman, because this was his last race as a professional cyclist. He's been a pro for 10 years, and he's gone out on the attack right from the gun with the Belgian rider Tosh van der Sande, who was for 2 days the leader in the King of the Mountains competition. He lost it on day 3 to the eventual winner of that competition, Michael Golash. He's only a young lad, van der Sande, very good, promising prospect. Second Tour of Beijing for him. Finished 47th when he was last here. But this time comes towards the finish with a deficit of 15 minutes. Still a bit early, hasn't quite finished his lunch. Philippe Gilbert, the leader of the race, took the lead on the second day. Stage disrupted by the pollution in the air, and so the riders, in conjunction with the organization, decided to finish the race short of Yanqing because of the pollution. The irony was the pollution had all gone when the riders were due to arrive, but it was too late. Decision made, and the course suddenly suited Philippe Gilbert because he finished up a hill instead of on the flat, and as a result he won the day. Took red, defended it well yesterday on the mountain. The riders here just getting themselves organised. We look at Ben Swift at the back of the race, might see him more near the front of the race a little bit later on as he comes down towards the finish. It's Ian Boswell at the moment, sorry, at the back of the race. The American rider, been a big workhorse for his team. This is Samuel Sanchez, the Olympic champion. They recognise these roads, very close to the course where he won the Olympic championship in Beijing in 2008. Now it looks like he's reduced to carrying all the water back to the field. He did a brilliant job yesterday up the mountain to try and defend the lead for Philippe Gilbert, who was the first to thank him at the finish line because it worked, and Gilbert is still in red. And with the sprinters anxious to win today, it's unlikely the overall will change. It can happen, but doesn't happen very often. It's all about time. These 2 riders have lost a lot of time out on the course. So for the moment, they're allowing Mangel his head. He's 42 minutes behind in the overall rankings, while Tosh van der Sande is 15 minutes behind. So they're not going to worry about a lead last time through of 1 minute and 24 seconds. It's 12 circuits of the near 8 kilometre circuit. We are on lap number 5 at the moment of 12 circuits. Thomas Dekker just enjoying himself. And at the first sprint, which they had just before you came and joined us, Mangel was first over the line. Tosh van der Sande was in second place. They were clear, of course, and that might well be the last prize that Mangel wins as a pro, retires at the end of this race. The main peloton, Reinhard Janssen van Rensburg getting it, so there's still a 1-point separation between Tyler Farrer and Luka Mecic in that points competition. They may have decided to take it to the last sprint of the day. So Mangel, van der Sande and Janssen van Rensburg. Concentration of the youngster here. And there's the latest gap, 1 minute 40. So they've pulled away a little bit on the 1:24 that they had at the end of the lap, and that's probably because the pressure's gone off after the sprint. We circumnavigate the bird's nest here. Have a look at our old friends from Team Jormancon. Our old friend in particular, nearest camera in the green there. Just see number 12 on his race number. It's actually 112. That's Dan Craven, the Namibian African professional cyclist, the only one in fact from his country. beautiful view of Olympic Park here. This has become an absolute playground for the Chinese and the #1 tourist trap too when the tourists visit Beijing. Still the hustle and bustle of 10 lanes of highway there. Not everybody's watching the Tour of Beijing, but I have to say that to get around town, the fastest way is by bicycle, that's for sure. And for these riders crossing over from Tiananmen Square to the Bird's Nest Piazza today, they were probably twice as quick as anybody could ever hope to do it in a motor car. Minute 51 is the latest gap, so we are pushing it out again. There's no big rush yet. It is 12 circuits. We're on lap number 5. There will be another point sprint for that green jersey at the end of lap number 9. And these two riders are doing what a bunch did last year, and in fact they were caught in the last couple of laps of the race, and it was Metchek who delivered the winning sprint. And that's what his ambition will be this time around. All of these attacks here taking all of the pressure off Philippe Gilbert, who just wants to make sure nobody grabs these small bonuses on offer that could dislodge him. But then again, we're only looking at a couple of riders now who could hit him. And that Dan Martin, obviously the prime example, at 3 seconds off the pace. Heading up towards the finishing line again. There's the man who won this race last year. Still smiling though, a year on, even though he lost it on the opening day, when 18 minutes caught off guard there by a brilliant piece of team riding. He's talking to David Lopez, and Lopez was the man that finished 3rd to him a year ago. Team Sky were this year writing Benya out of the script. Up the home straight. It's a long straight here. It's a slightly different position this year. It's moved a bit further south in the park. We're outside the National Indoor Stadium, not too far away from the famous Water Cube, where all the aquatic events were held in the Olympic Games as well. Eight laps to go when they come through. And I've just seen the Panda get into the chief referee's car, so perhaps they're changing the commissaires, as they call the referees in the cycling world, for the last few laps of the Tour of Beijing. There he is. I'm surprised he got through the roof. And I hope they've got plenty of bamboo shoots to keep him going on the next hour or so of the race. Same two riders who brought this race to the circuit in the opening 20 kilometers from the beginning. Now it's around and round the national park. Tosh van der Sande is the man bringing Laurent Mangel up towards the line this time. The peloton we expect to see probably dropping back to around 2 minutes where they were 2 laps ago. They brought it down to 1:24 last time through. 8 laps to go. And the gap pushing out nicely for the moment. It just means we're going to be treated to quite a hard chase over the closing laps to bring back a gap of 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Finally poised overall. I'll give you a quick rundown of the top few riders. Dan Martin is 3 seconds behind Gilbert after 700 kilometers of racing. Esteban Chavez is 9 seconds down, and the best young rider in the race, born after January the 1st, 1990. Rui Costa sits in 4th, and that's the position he finished this race 1 year ago. He's 11 seconds back. Top Russian rider for Katusha, Sergei Chernetsky, is in 5th place at 23 seconds, and then grouped around him, Warren Barguil, the Frenchman, Moreno Arredondo, Rinaldo Nocentini, and Rigoberto Urán from Colombia. So the top 9 riders covered by a spread of 23 seconds, and as the majority of those names I've given you are all climbing specialists, there's really nothing for them here to help them improve their overall situation. So they'll race today to try and hold what they've gained out in the hills to the north and northwest of Beijing. Clock is ticking on. 1.5 minutes has gone by since the 2 leaders went through. The polka dot jersey in the distance on the right is Mikhail Golash. been a professional for a long time. He's come through some of the teams which are no longer in being, like Unibet.com. Many people have forgotten that. He was in that in 2007. Then Vacances Soleil. That crashed a couple of years ago. And now he's part of the Amiga Pharma Quickstep squad. The only race he's won, National Championships of Poland. That was 2 years ago. In professional cycling, if you've got the race leader on your team, then the team expects you to put the workhorses on the front, and that's exactly what's happened. Little wave there from Samuel Sanchez, a bigger wave from the race leader, Philippe Gilbert, as they lead him around. And although he admitted yesterday he didn't really want to come for this final World Tour race of the year, and he's had a few unkind words about the atmosphere of Beijing, but it's all cleared up, and his whole attitude now has changed. And he rather likes being here as leader of the Tour of Beijing. Well, this is the biggest gap, as it's turning out, the leaders have had since they got away. They'll really shut it down this lap, 2:53. Heading up towards 3 minutes. They can't allow it to get too much more than that, I wouldn't have thought. Tell by the faces on the riders here, they're out for a Tuesday afternoon jolly on privileged Crows Road around the centre of Beijing. It won't always be this way, but they're in no hurry to catch those two front runners up the inside of the famous water cube here. One of the main attractions of the Olympic Games back in 2008. Unique building, this. And the area will never forget the games. Even the restaurants here, many of them are decorated right round the square in the restaurants with memorabilia from the games, like even the direction to the toilets from the Olympic Games are hanging up in some of the restaurants here. No reaction from the field. 130 riders are coming to the finish. 135 started. Everybody a little bit worried on the first day when 4 riders dropped out on the opening day of the race, but since then only one. Maxime Daniel of France dropping out yesterday, didn't start. I'll tell you, the panda's been around the mountains as well as on the flat roads here. Sadly no longer any pandas this far south in China. The protected species, and a big supporter of the Garmin Sharp team, as the Garmin Sharp team are of the World Wildlife Fund. Taking a good look. I don't know how actually he sees through that kit, but he seems to be watching. Tosh van der Sande is the man in red. The man in blue is Laurent Mongel. During his career, which has spanned 10 years, Laurent Mongel has only ridden the Tour de France once, which he did back in 2011. Which is rather unusual for a Frenchman. There is Dan Martin. What a great record he has at the Tour of Beijing. Martin on the far side, in the white helmet there. Came here a couple of years ago. It's the 3rd time he's been here. He came here the first time he won the King of the Mountains and finished 4th. Last year he finished 2nd, and he finished 2nd by 10 seconds off the lead. This year it looks like he's going to finish 2nd again, this time 3 seconds off the lead. His father was a great cyclist as well, and although Dan Martin is Irish, so is his mum and dad, Neil Martin rather, was a British road racing champion a few years ago. Still lives in the Birmingham area of the United Kingdom. And every year Dan Martin makes great progress. Got 2 classic victories now to his name. Liège-Bastogne-Liège last year. This year, just a week before he came to Beijing, he won the last big classic one-day race of the year, the Tour of Lombardy in Italy. And now he's riding the final World Tour event here. First time we've gone over 3 minutes with that breakaway. After an hour and 20 minutes of racing. circumnavigating the beautiful area here of the Cultural National Park. This is the introduction to the beautiful area of the Dongcheng district of Beijing. That's where Tiananmen Square is. That's the result of the first sprint, which was contested just before you came on air. The fourth place rider there was Sergei Chinetsky, who is set to finish 5th overall in this race, as he sits 23 seconds off the lead, but he is in a group of 5 riders. And so when the time is equal, and by the way, yes, you can join in the conversation being held on Twitter, #TOB2014, and you can imagine there's going to be a hectic sprint in the peloton between Chinetsky, Barguil, Arredondo and Nocentini and Uran, because it'll be on countback of positions on this last stage, if they stay locked together on the same time, that will decide their order of finish. So 5th to 9th, all same time at 23 seconds. So they'll be having to pay a lot of attention in that sprint finish. Still handling the flat roads here around the Cultural Natural Park of around about 43. Will that be the last time he'll smile at the camera as retirement looms in about an hour and a half's time for Laurent Mongel? Well, the panda offered him a drink and he turned it down. Tosh van der Sande in his 2nd Tour of Beijing, and a very good World Road Race Under 23 Championship back in 2011, where he was the 9th finisher there. And now he's on Lotte Belisol World Tour team. He joined it in 2012, and this is his 2nd year. At the moment, waiting to see if he can sign a new contract, and that could be why we've seen a lot of him in this breakaway. Well, I was very lucky to be here in 2008 for those Olympic Games, and believe me, you couldn't put a pin between the people outside that Bird's Nest Stadium. It was a memorable opening ceremony, and best watched from the outside, because that stadium had a lighting system in it which made it look as though it was on fire. It was incredible, and the firework display that followed it too. I'll always remember the Chinese people that all around me, they were all in tears. Finally, they got the Olympic Games in their country. Very disappointed when in 2000 the Olympics were awarded to Sydney. They really thought that was to be their year, but it came in 2008. Team BMC continues at the front, doing all the work. A little bit of interjection, the man in black and white there, because that's Team Giant Shimano, on which Luka Metcheks rather, is going to be looking for a sprint win at the end of the day, and a green jersey if he gets it. Philippe Gilbert riding near the front with his team, keeping out of trouble. The red jerseys of his team and the leader's jersey very, very similar. Gilbert's a little bit easier to pick out if you imagine his red jersey does not have black flashes on the shoulders. We wander out of the complex of the park, so we come back in at the south end, making up this circuit of some 8 kilometers a lap, 3:15. They're heading up at the moment. It was where the Olympic flame proudly burned in 08, as we're heading up now towards the finishing line again. This will be 7 laps to go this time through of the 12 as we go out onto lap number 6. The peloton will be quite happy with this just at the moment. Looking around the area too, we're seeing nobody willing to push the pace forward. Up through the finishing straight. It is a great finish for the sprinters in the race. 7 to go. The last check we got was just over 3 minutes. The clock starts now at the finishing line. 7 laps to go. Laurent Mongel. The riders look as though they're making a gesture to him here and giving him his chance to do the circuits of the park. They won't leave him out there forever though. They'll come for him. 54 kilometers still to go on this stage of 117. Montiel in his career, by the way, won 7 races, hasn't had a victory since 2010. And the last time he won a bike race was in fact in Belgium, in the Tour of Wallonne, or the Walloon region of Belgium, where he raced in the lead for 1 day only, and he won the 3rd stage of that race. The last time he won a race, and so it's been a long wait for him, because that was in July 2010, and he's now just turned 33 years of age. About the time cyclists start to think of retirement at this level of the sport, World Tour level, which is the highest possible level. 17 World Tour teams here, and you can consider the World Tour teams as the Formula One teams of the world of motor racing. They are the creme de la creme. T.J. Van Garderen in 2nd place here at the moment, while the pace continues to be made by Dominic Nertz, who has done a lot of pacemaking for Team BMC all week, and it's paying dividends. In professional cycling, it's individuals who win the prizes, but it's the team that shares the prizes. All goes into the hat. The team will decide how the split is, and it will also include the management of the team as well. So it's an individual race, but very much a team race indeed. Xi Cheng, the #1 Chinese cyclist on Giant Shimano, and there aren't many, but they're coming. And he rode his first Tour de France this year. Been a proud week for him after that Tour de France ride, spending 5 days around on his home roads. Has his slot in the team to help his team, and they're not going home empty-handed either. They're looking for Luca Metta to deliver his 2nd stage win this week, if he can. Xi Cheng on the front, the man that's been nicknamed during the Tour de France as the breakaway spoiler, because he chased everything that got away from the race for his team. Waiting for the rides to go through. They're being shown 7 laps to go. And the sun dropping down behind the water cube at the moment, so the shadows falling here over the finishing line. Peloton come through. And for some reason they've changed the timing system on the clock, so I'll have to wait till I can tell you what the time gap was now. Nobody too concerned by these 2 riders up front. They're not affecting the destiny of the red jersey, but they could disrupt the race for the green jersey on points, because points are scored at the finishing line at the end of the race, and there's 1 more sprint point along the way as well. So for that reason they won't stay out there all day. Of that I'm quite convinced. 51 kilometers left to ride at the moment. French Europe car team sitting here at the back at the moment as well. Tony Hurel on the right, having a chat with his teammate Romain Guilmois. They're all French on this squad, with the exception of Dan Craven from Namibia in Africa, just on the borders with South Africa, and Bjorn Thurau, son of the famous Didi Thurau, former race leader of the Tour de France. He's from Germany. Seven to go. We're on the 6th circuit since we came onto the circuit from the start of the race round Tiananmen Square. World Tour competition itself got underway in Australia back in January, with the traditional opening down there of the Santos Tour Down Under, and it's a long season for the riders as it takes them right through the summer in Europe, right through to here which is now also the autumn time in Beijing for the finish of the race here. The leader of the World Tour, Alejandro Valverde, was slated to come here with his Movistar team, but when Alberto Contador, the nearest man to him in the competition overall, had to withdraw with an injured knee, then Valverde decided he didn't have to make the long journey from Spain to Beijing, so he withdrew. He will run out the winner of the World Tour without having to ride this final event. A little bit of a disappointment for the spectators though, and the organisers, because Valverde's had a tremendous season, culminating in a third place for the third year running in the World Road Race Championships in Ponferrada in Spain. That was just before this event got underway. Still no update on the distance these boys are clear, but judging by the action from behind, I would say they're still sitting on 3 minutes. As we're on lap number 6, leaving 7 still to go. Long turn at the far end of the Olympic Park. Big sweeping left-hander. A lot more urgency in a couple of laps around there. Even so, they're pulled out now. All 128 of them into a long, thin line. I've got a feeling the tempo is slowly but surely increasing. Inside 50 kilometers. Little over an hour of racing. Might even speeden up to just get underneath the 1 hour. I think the average speed today much more likely to be around 44 kilometers an hour. As soon as we started coverage 5 days ago of this race, the rider just off our picture in the red there, him, Tosh van der Sande, was in the breakaway all day, and the next day it's the rider who's now off our camera to the right in the blue, and there he is, and that is Laurent Mongel, who was in the breakaway on the second day. And now they've come together on the final day, but they know they've been around. Not so much Van der Sande, but certainly Mongel, 10 years a pro. He knows the game that's being played. The reason he was so nervous this morning is he wanted to try and make sure he was one rider in the leading group. His last play in front of television before retirement looms in just over an hour after 10 years at the highest level of cycling. Reinforcements come up now for team at BMC, the team of Philippe Gilbert, who's at the end of the line in the slightly different red jersey. They're making their way up towards the finishing line yet again. No update this lap on the time. There we are, 2 minutes 50, so it's come down a little bit. And that looks as though they've lifted the tempo just a shade. No concentrated chase just yet. Still Giant Shimano leaving the one Chinese rider, Yi Cheng, in that group. Keep an eye on what's going on. Just outside the park here, as they make their way round to enter the park again to run up towards the finish. This is a very, very bustling city, 24/7. The rush hours on Sundays are just as bad as the rush hours on a working day, believe me. This seems to work. They have a very good metro system now, which has been continued to be built, and they're even building a high-speed railway track which will take them up to the ski regions, which at the moment takes about 3 to 3.5 hours to drive in the traffic leaving town, but it will bring the area to within 1 hour of travel away from Beijing. That's going to make the area pretty popular. It'll be 6 to go this time as we go out onto lap number 7. No change in the situation as they come up towards the line here. Von der Sande through the last 500 meters. Joined the real professional world in 2012 when he came on board with Lotto Belisol. No wins yet, and he's had a little go at the big tours, the grand tours as they call them, which is the tours of Spain, Italy and France. He's had 2 goes. He rode this year the Giro d'Italia, which is the Tour of Italy, finished 93rd in that race. And in the Tour of Spain, he rode that last year, and he finished that as well in 127. So he's making a very regular progress as a pro bike rider, Tosh van der Sande. 2 laps to go. Two riders clear, rather. We're on to lap number 7, which will leave us 6 circuits. And 2 laps to the second sprint of the day. That's where the Olympic flame burned proudly during 2008. Field slip under its shadow. Visibly moving that little bit quicker now. Just under a minute since the leaders went through onto lap number 7. Everybody wants to win the last stage when it comes into the capital city of the country. It's the Champs-Élysées in Paris on the Tour de France. Normally it's Madrid on the Tour of Spain, although this year they made an exception. It'll go back there next year. And they know all eyes are there. The race has been over 5 days, 2 particularly hilly days. It's where as always, the men that want to win overall, they spend 3 days making sure they don't make any mistakes and lose time, as Benyar in Tausti did on day 1, lost 18 minutes. And as long as they can get to the climbs, that's how they can win the race. Today it's for the sprinters. Heading up now towards 2 minutes since the 2 leaders have gone through, so there's not a huge reaction from the field. It'll be 6 to go. Nice passive headshots there. Greg Henderson in the red. He packs a very good sprint finish. He's on the lips of a few people for a possible stage win. There's a couple of Kiwis in this race. Henderson the most likely to, if he can. Came out of the Tour de France this year on the 4th day with he fell very heavily on a very badly injured knee, but he's back again now. Delighted to see. Well, it's still heading up towards 3 minutes, this gap, so there's still work to be done when they start chasing. Going out onto lap number 7 of 12. There's the clock for you now. They go through. It's just going to be inside 3 minutes, 2:52. They've got the measure of the breakaway. I think the 3-minute marker was what they didn't want to see. Once they saw that, they've lifted the tempo. And it is still the riders in the team BMC having to do all of the work, with a little bit of help occasionally from Ji Cheng of China. All the blue helmeted riders there include Tyler Farrer. He'll be very concerned about the result at the end of the day. If he can get the win, he'll get the green jersey. If he finishes second to Luca Metza, he'll lose the green jersey. It's as simple as that. Riders now being allowed to take drinks. It's a beautiful day, an absolute stunning day here in the center of Beijing. There's no sign of the famous Beijing smog. Edvard Bosenhagen there taking his bottle. It is warm, although the temperatures now, because we're approaching winter, they go down a bit in the evening once the darkness falls. But during the day, idyllic late Indian summer here in China. Nathan Haas just waving at the camera. Dan Martin, number 61, being protected by his team, guided around the park, keep him out of trouble, and he'll finish second overall in this race for the second year in succession. Riders in this race are 8-man teams. As opposed to 9 men in the Grand Tours. The 8-man teams here, looks like BMC have put most of them at the front of the race just to keep control of affairs. Well, I can tell you now the Panda has managed to get out of the car, but he's so overweight, he's having a bit of a problem getting through the barriers at the finish line, but he'll succeed. The World Tour rolling to a close on brilliantly closed, secure roads in the centre of one of the world's busiest motorised cities. Everybody enjoying themselves here. A little bit of a chat between the boys from Orica Green Edge. Sam Bewley nearest camera, and Chavez on the far side. Never stops smiling, this boy. Even when he's suffering, he seems to be smiling. He's got the white jersey on as best young rider, set now to finish third and keep that jersey. And it looks as though Sam Bewley's told him a good story. Another New Zealander in the race. There are, I think, there are 3 of them here. Esteban Chavez from Colombia has had a tremendous season. One of the youngest riders in the race. And still among the young riders too, up in the front here. Tosh van der Sande, unlike Laurent Mongel, who's reaching the end of his career today. They're just getting on with the job and hope that it's good enough. History says it probably isn't, but you never know. It's just on 44 kilometers left to ride in that area. Still our friends from Europe car in the green jerseys, content to sit at the tail of the pack. It's an end of a long season for all these cyclists. By the end of a typical cycling season, these professional teams, which usually carry a stable of around 26, 27 riders, because you've got to make up for riders who might be sick or injured and still supply a full team to the World Tour, as well as other races, of course. But they're going to pedal around about 20, 25,000 kilometers each of them in a year, including their training miles. Even when they're not racing, they're usually riding the bike to stay fit and slick. Nice tattoo. It's very difficult to draw a bicycle wheel absolutely accurately in a circle, but that looks like success there for Yasser Sütterlin, the German rider on Team Movistar. .252, and I doubt very much they'll hit 3 minutes again now, because that peloton has lifted the tempo just enough. We'll soon find out though, because they're making the way up towards the finish line again, which will put them out onto lap number 8. Very pensive Tyler Farrer there on the back wheel of his Dutch teammate Thomas Dekker. In front of him, Ryder Hezjedon made the big move yesterday to try and steal the show. When all the riders were watching, Dan Martin, his teammate, came very close, within just over a kilometre of the finish, to winning the race overall. Just a flick to the right, circumnavigate, and we're going up towards the finishing line. We're waiting for the 2 leaders. And a very gentle stroll around Tiananmen Square to start the race. Then the flag went in, and then the race was on. And everybody trying to establish the early morning breakaway. And only 2 of them managing it today. That's the way it's staying at the moment. Well, it may have been 2008 when they built the Bird's Nest Stadium, but as a design, it's still very, very much in the current thinking. Coming up to 40 kilometers to go when they get up to the finish line. And with the 3-minute gap, these boys are about 42 kilometers from the finish. There's a little bit of a move here. Now this is going to liven things up, because this is an attack by Amiga Pharma Quickstep, and that is a very, very good, strong, solid move off the front of the race here by Amiga. And this is going to liven affairs up. There's no immediate reaction, although the peloton looks as though they might be just starting to liven up to that one. This is the signal, I think. 39.6 to go. We're still waiting for the 2 leaders to go through. Not too sure where our cameraman went there, but I hope he's okay. I'm sure he is. So the 2 leaders are not too far away from coming up the home straight, but it looks to me as though we've got an attack, and this is going to be Peter Seri. Now Seri has got himself, he's had a very good race, and he almost got away with it the other day, but he sits only in 10th place overall. Now 26 seconds off the overall lead. Team BMC are not going to allow Peter Seri too much of a lead here. He's going to have to, what he's probably done is started the action. We'll see just how he does it. That's exactly what the race wanted, I think. Now good attack by this Belgian rider, Peter Seri. He's going to have to cross the gap. We still haven't got the 2 leaders coming through, but the boards are up now as they head up towards the line. There they are. This is now 5 to go this time through. Start of lap number 8. So they've gone out. 5 to go. Just 40 kilometers, slightly less, 39 kilometers to ride for the 2 men up front. Peter Seri is still very much in the gun sights of the peloton. He's caused a reaction because of his high position overall here. And he's going to be a marked man. His number will have been on their handlebars when he made the attack. They'll have checked it out. And a very strong finish in the region last year to his season. He was 12th in the Japan Cup race. And Team Katusha paying most attention, because they've got a rider ahead of him by only 3 seconds in the overall, Sergei Chernetsky. So Seri quickly jumped on there. Now let's see if he's managed to inspire some action from the peloton. Not too sure why those riders are fanning out around the back, looking around, but I don't think there's been a problem. Now last time through it was 2 minutes and 52 seconds, and I suspect very much so we're going to see that lead now pretty much decimated. 1:30. Now the way they sprinted for the line there, it was almost as if they were going for the sprint of the green jersey, Rigoberto Urán taking it, I think, but it doesn't matter, because according to the instructions it should be the end of the next lap, not the one they're even on now. So we'll wait and see, but it looks to me as though they are giving it, which that is at the end of lap number 7. According to the instructions, it should have been the end of lap number 9. but they're showing it as Long Mongel, Van der Sande, and again, just waiting for the final confirmation. They're still not quite give it to us. Now the riders absolutely eaten into that group there. 1 minute 30 this time around. That's, I think, the answer. That's what they wanted to see. So the 4th place taken by Rigoberto Urán. So what the sprinter's done realistically is Urán missing out on the aim of a 1 second bonus, which is what he wanted, and that would have brought him out the pack of locked in riders in the overall situation. Wasn't to be. And there it is, confirmed. Van der Sande getting the 3 points, and Janssen van Rensburg getting 2 and a 1 second bonus, and Rigoberto Urán not getting any bonus. He gets 1 point in the green jersey. So the 2 sprints now behind the race. And no change overall in any of the competitions. The next sprint will be the finish line sprint. Steele Van Hoff just chatting away there in the middle of our picture with Tyler Farrer, maybe planning what will happen in the sprint itself that matters. Steele Van Hoff, one of the lead out men for Tyler. Well, maybe he wants, what's he saying? I can't quite read it. For Luna, well, that's his wife, but I couldn't quite focus in on the rest of it before he put it away again. Little message. Maybe he said, I'll be home soon. Because he retires at the end of this race. And he's got just 5 more circuits, including this one, to go. 36 kilometers of a 10-year career rolling to a halt. He may be going to show us again. Well, on my little tiny monitor, oh yes, Luna is his daughter, and Dad's coming home to the house at the end of this race. Won't be packing his racing kit anymore and going around the world. Now 1:30. In just one lap effort there, they chopped off 1.25 minutes, as easy as you like. So it shows you that they've got this breakaway pretty much under control. It's Filippo Pozzato, another man that likes his tattoos on his arm. He's got a couple of messages there. Looks to be Japanese rather than Chinese. Tyler Farrer just moving up on the outside now. He's probably gone off in search of Luca Metzer. Certainly Farrer being chased up there by a teammate of Metzer's, Reinhard Janssen van Rensburg. Just keeping an eye on the most dangerous sprinter to endanger the likelihood of victory for Metzer today. Far side of the circuit now, 6 minutes into this next lap around, and Team BMC keeping control. Just passing through our picture there, the race leader, Philippe Gilbert. Second man to pull on the race leader's jersey on day 2. Wasn't expected to defend it yesterday, but did by just 3 seconds. So now he can continue today without any fear of being beaten. But his main worry, of course, will be a silly accident, a technical problem like a flat tire. So, as all professional cyclists will tell you, you've never won a race until you cross that finish line for sure. But he won't expect to be attacked today by the riders closest to him, because there's no climbs, there's no terrain suitable for the move. This is for the sprinters. They continue to roll at pretty much high speed here. Another 2 seconds lopped off the advantage of the leaders. Coming around to go into the last 4 laps. Well, these pictures are very much being live into France, so Laurent Mangel can rest assured his daughter Luna is watching him. TJ Van Garderen, twice finished 5th in the Tour de France, and once won the white jersey as best young rider, on the front. This time playing a super domestique for his teammate Philippe Gilbert. This is not a chase, this is just a limitation, a damage limitation for the moment. Coming into the last 33 kilometers for the leaders. It's been a very good year for the rider who lives in Aspen, Colorado these days, but he comes up from the wilds of Montana in the USA. Gold medalist with his team in the World Championships a couple of weeks ago in Spain in the team time trial. That was a big result for them. Van Garderen lost 18 minutes on day 1, and he's become a great domestique. Let's go back up towards the finishing approach again now with Laurent Mangel. Only 2 leaders throughout the whole of the afternoon of racing so far. This time they'll see 4 laps to go, and out onto lap number 9. Last time it was 1:30. I expected it to be the same or slightly more. They may have pulled away again a bit here. Total race distance today 117 kilometers, and we're running into the last 32. Or if you're watching in the United States or Great Britain, the last 20 miles. They're swapping turns, a little bit more urgent about it here, these two. But how long can they stay ahead? TJ Van Garderen, man of few words, and he lets his legs do the talking here. He's bringing them down to the bottom end of the straight up to the line, as these two are now going up through the banner. The little flick of the right arm there from Mangel is an indication to the man behind to come and do a little bit of work at the front. And the crowd banging on the barriers, jolly good, cheers them through. Hit the line. I didn't actually get the time check, but we will when the peloton come through. As the flick of the arm again, time to change partners. They're doing shorter turns at the front now, which is a good indicator that they are feeling the pressure of the day as they race past the shadow of the water cube. Very aptly named, isn't it? All the aquatic sports in the Olympic Games in 2008. Change at the front here now. Looks like Dominic Nertz has gone up again. Team Sky are beginning to take an interest as well. Well, they're out on 4 to go. I suspect by 3 to go, the chase will have started. A lot of teams beginning to break in towards the front of the group now. Looks like Bernie Eisel has come forward for Sky. He's the captain of the team. Leaders are inside 30 kilometers now to the finish. Certainly gone away a little bit on last time. They should get through it, but just over 2 minutes again, so they're leaving themselves 2 minutes to bridge in 4 laps. It's going to be quite a chase. There is an obvious change at the pack now. The teams are grouping together. They're trying to put their sprinters in position for the big finale. And we've gone through 2 minutes at the front. And they've got a big cheer, but they'll need more than a cheer now if they're going to start to bring back these riders. Well, in that lap, they pulled back another 40 seconds, the breakaway from the peloton. And there's a little shot of the spectator just outside my commentary box there, getting a good shot and a memory of video of the passage of the Tour of Beijing for the last time, sadly. These riders here now, having consolidated their former world champion, Rui Costa, should finish 4th in this race. They're now thinking of Sasha Mudolo to come out and win the day for them. That'll be why they're taking close order at the front. 2:10 the gap. Expect to see a slight increase in the pace this time around. Martin Kohler setting the pace for Team BMC. They're going to use all of their riders now. Back out onto this 5-lane highway. You can see some of the traffic in Beijing down there, but believe me, that's nothing. That's almost none at all. Another hour and the rush hour will be getting itself well underway, finishing on a weekday, of course. Full working day here in China. They're coming off their big national Chinese holiday earlier in this month. 28 kilometers to go. Three more laps when they get back around. Then the action's going to have to liven up as the peloton are still being dictated to by Team BMC. Van der Sant. He's quite a big rider, but he in fact is a very good climber, as he showed us earlier on in this race. Built perhaps more like a sprinter, yet he climbs extremely well. Quiet part of the course here. The crowd are actually all in the Olympic Park, but they are only on one side of the circuit. There's a nice view inside the stadium. There was a big football match down there this week, friendly with Brazil and Argentina. And the great Messi missed a penalty in the first half, can you believe? Dan Craven, like so many cyclists this year, all growing beards, but I'll tell you what, Dan's is the best. The Namibian cyclist completing his first World Tour season, riding his first Grand Tour, the Tour of Spain as well. to the end of a long year. It's been a good year for him. He'll be off to London straight after this event ends. That's where his girlfriend lives. Ji Cheng has got himself back on the front, the breakaway Terminator. Having a chat there with Garmin Sharper. I think it's Nathan Haas at the moment there. He's having a chat with him. We're going to see sudden changes of patterns here, pretty sure, as the riders start to get underway. Dario Cataldo's just gone through at the end of the Team Sky. This is Dan Martin. No opportunity for Martin now to hunt out those 3 elusive seconds which would give him victory in this race. Philippe Gilbert knows that. Team Sky have tried whenever they've had the opportunity to bring Ben Swift to the Rhine, but so far they haven't been successful. They'll probably try again today. Move up the road, 2 minutes 28. They're actually still stretching. They've added on another 18 seconds. They're still not turning any pedals in anger back there, and they're letting time indicate it is going to be a very hard last couple of laps of the race here to close that gap and set up the team. As always, around 4 o'clock, we start to lose the sun behind the buildings. In this case, the last 2 days it's been behind the mountains. 25 kilometers left to ride. Still a good 40 minutes of cycling here. 40 minutes to pull back nearly 2.5. Well, more than 2.5 at the moment, nearly 3. That'll be a good finish for sure. Last man at the moment, the champion of Denmark there, Michael Andersen, in the red jersey. Well, I will say that Laurent Mongel will remember his last day as a professional cyclist. He's been in the lead the whole way round. Team management coming up there to have a little chat with him. Franck Pinot is the manager of the Française de Jeux.fr team, and he himself was a very prominent professional in his turn. Still continuing to stick to their guns here. They're getting ready to show 3 laps to go. Ever since they came up the straight to start the first crossing of the finish line and go out on 12 circuits, it's been the same 2 riders. They've been out over 3 minutes. At the moment we're around 2 3/4. Not too far away from the finish line. You can see it in the distance there. Tosh van der Sande wonders if he'll still be up here next time. It's going to take a little while to pull back, but they're going to see only 3 laps to go now. Slightly less than 24 kilometers. I hear the speaker there, Anthony McCloskey, saying 2:42. We'll give a very accurate check now as they come up towards the line and go through it. 3 laps to go. Both of these riders understand the English language, so they will have heard that. They've still got a little bit of an advantage. It's going to have to come soon. They won't want to go out on the second to last lap with a lead like these 2 have currently got, because they need time to reposition their sprinters for the result at the end of the day. So it's a question of now which team is going to start the chase. Team BMC have no reason to start the chase. because they've got their man, Philippe Gilbert, winning this race. They're not interested in winning the stage. It's going to be left, and there's an indication here now, it's going to be left to some teams like Garmin Sharp, because Tyler Farrer wants the win. Whoever wins the stage between Tyler Farrer and Luka Mecic, or let me put it another way, whoever finishes in front of the other rider will win the team, the green jersey on points. It's as simple as that. So they're going to watch each other all of the way. If they watch each other too closely, it might cost them the win. Bosenhagen goes through. As always, Ben Swift close to him. The water course puts on its computerized display. We pick up the riders in the center of the park here now. The only two leaders of the last day of the Tour of Beijing out front since the gun. Waiting for the peloton to come up through the finishing line, and already we're heading up to 2 minutes. It's going to be an incredibly quick chase, because you can tell by the expression on these two riders' face, they're beginning to say, is this the day the breakaway makes it happen? There's so many combinations back there. There's a lot of riders don't want to be in the bunch sprint, and there's others who do. So it's up to the teams to organize that side of the race. These two just getting on and going quite simply as fast as they can. Here we come. Still BMC holding in the picture even so. The other sprinters teams are moving all of the teams forward, but not in the chase yet. We've gone through 2.5 minutes now. So as they come up towards the line, there's a lot of chasing to be done now with 3 laps to go. They will see this on the clock as the peloton goes through at 2:41. 2:41, that's what they've got to close now. 2 minutes 41 recognizes just over a gap of 2 kilometers on the road between the bunch and the two leaders. So they've got 21.5 kilometers, and they've got to close down a gap of about 2.25 kilometers. They're on to lap number 9 of 12. As the peloton speed beneath the forest of cameras there, here in the center of the city of Beijing. For 4 years this has been the case, but sadly this is the last Tour of Beijing, as Beijing now concentrate on their Olympic bid once more, but this time for the Winter Olympics in 2022. "21 kilometers to go. Somebody has got to start the chase. These boys get in 2 laps to go and 16 kilometers to go with a lead of 2 minutes and 40 seconds. They'll feel there's an outside chance of survival. It's still technically possible, but they still need to keep gaining time for the moment. Good determination on the face there of Tosh van der Sande. Same for Laurent Mongel, anxious to get to the front, share the pace, keep it going. Looking at the rear of the peloton here, Team Katusha, Vladimir Gusev, last man now, the Russian cyclist. And a couple of teammates there of the man up front, Laurent Mongel. That's Jeremy Roy and Alexander Ginier. Gusev on the far side there. Nearest camera is the Kiwi, Hayden Rolson. Gusev actually speaks pretty good English, so they'll have a nice chat. Not sure he'll understand the Kiwi accent, but it looked as though he did. As we speed towards the front of the peloton, the green jersey there being worn by Mecic. He's going to be the boy who's going to be in the action at the front, and he'll be looking for the whereabouts of Tyler Farrer. If you see him, he wears number 63 in the blue jersey. They're going to go shoulder to shoulder at some stage, either at the front or somewhere in the field, because there's only 1 point separating them in the points competition, which was a competition devised first of all in the Tour de France back in 1953, when they realized not everybody could win a multi-day stage race, not everyone can climb mountains, so they devised a competition for the sprinters as well as for the actual race on time. And they chose a green jersey in the Tour de France, and it's been pretty much internationally adopted ever since. It's in effect for the most consistent daily finishes of the daily stages. 19 kilometers to go. We're out onto lap number 9 of 12. 2.5 circuits left. They've still got a nice little advantage. You can see by the speed they're getting a bit excited out there right now, and so too are the other teams. That's not surprising. This is Ryder Hesjedal here. Yesterday he was trying to win the race for himself in the mountains. Now he's trying to close down the breakaway so his teammate can win the day, and that's Tyler Farrar. Terrific workhorse. What a great bike rider Ryder Hesjedal is. He comes from Vancouver, from Victoria, where the 2010 Olympics were held, Winter Olympics. And go down the line and pick out there the red jersey of Philippe Gilbert, the leader of the Tour of Beijing. Everything working out. There is the man who's going to have to take on Luka Mečik in the sprint, Tyler Farrar. He won 2 days ago. He's 1 point behind winning this race on points. He's got to finish in front of Mečik if he's going to win the points competition. And Mečik has won this stage exactly 1 year ago, so bet your life those two will go shoulder to shoulder today, wherever they are in the race. Even if the two riders did stay away, they would still have to go shoulder to shoulder for the minor placings. One that finishes in front of the other wins it. Round the back of again, looking for second. 2 laps to go when they come through. 17.6 kilometers left of the race. 16 kilometers out. We'll be going through with 2 to go. Slightly less, 15.8 kilometers out. Well, visibly they've put on their best show here now. They've really lifted this pace at 17.4 kilometers to go. Short, fast turns as best they can. So one career ends with Mongel, the other career begins of Tosh van der Stande. No further time check since the 2:41 we got through the finish. We'll obviously see that time check again when they come through. Heading up towards the finishing line again. Well, there's the latest check, 2:35. They've actually plucked back 6 seconds, the peloton. They'll have to catch more than that in the remaining 2 laps. It's a long way up this home straight as well. You can see the gantry in the distance. It is a sprinter's delight. You can't go too early, you'll run out of steam. That's happened a few times this week. So you've got to use your teammates to deliver you to about 150 meters before the finish. Only 2 laps to go now. There aren't too many of these cyclists in this pack that took part in the 2008 Olympic Games. Certainly one is Sammy Sanchez. He won it. They've gone through onto the lap. The clock is counting. Last time it was 2 minutes 41 seconds, 15.3 or 2 circuits of the track. They've almost gone the distance. That in itself would be a first in the Tour of Beijing. It's been a long move, this one. The peloton have been a little bit lethargic. They're gambled here. They may have allowed too much time. They won't want to take a time gap into the last lap of more than 30 seconds or so, I wouldn't have thought. Now it's a question of go as fast as you can, move over, let your teammate, let your rival go as fast as he can. You've got to merge together. Now Ryder Heyerdahl here as the start of the chase by Garmin Sharp, and the two top sprinters teams are doing the work. That's Giant Shimano and Garmin Sharp, who have Farah on Garmin Sharp and Metchets on Giant Shimano. So that's what we would expect. They've got to close it down. The chase is on, and the rest will watch, because there are other fast finishes in this race and they could profit by this chase. They've gambled on it and done nothing so far. Still waiting for them to come through, and there's still a big gap here. It's going to be very close to 2 minutes still. It might have gone over the 2 minute mark. The leaders are now only 14.3 from the finish as we race towards the finishing line gantry. We're going to hit 2 minutes, but it has come down a little bit. Still Heyerdahl rode so well yesterday. He's had good form this year. As they race up towards, they'll see 2 laps to go to the end of the Tour of Beijing. It's over 2 minutes now. 2:41 it was last time. There's the clock. Not a big deficit, not a big recapture of time with 2 laps to go here. 18 seconds or so, 2:23 the gap. And the Chinese spectators here warming to the occasion now, because they know there's going to be one heck of a chase to bring back those 2 riders. Only 18 seconds reclaimed on that last lap of the gap. Now they've got to lift the pace. We've got to be talking now speeds around the circuit this time of 48 kilometers an hour if they're going to bring back this gap. These boys have really turned it on. They've saved something for these last couple of laps. They're still relaying each other with the best effort they possess. Next time around, of course, it will be the bell underneath the water cube. The peloton, there's only 2 teams interested in chasing, because they have probably got the fastest sprinters, but if they've got to get the combination right, difficult finish to judge for a sprinters team. Others will try to freelance onto the wheels if they can. Jeremy Watt just up there, number 51 in the blue. He was our first day attacker, almost survived. He was caught just 20 kilometers from the finish on the first stage. Now it's his teammate Laurent Mongel up front, riding out his career in style, that's for sure. 13.2 kilometers to go. These boys have still got to close down the best part of 2 kilometers, and they've got a lap and 3/4 to do it. That's a huge gap now. 2 lonely figures across the highway. From Tiananmen Square we started into the shadow of the bird's nest and the water cube. And the Olympic Park here kept in perfect condition. 6 years on from the Olympic Games. .223 it was, 2:22 it is. That's nothing. No gain at all at the moment. And not surprised that the team manager's coming up now and encouraging the riders, because now the chase is got to be on here. Got a little bit of a move. That's the oldest man in the race, Pablo Lestras, who's come onto the front for Movistar. They don't really have a sprinter though. Not too sure why he's bothered to get himself involved. They lost the man that might deliver a sprint finish on day 1 when he retired. Heyerdahl in 2nd place. Zoidel, a champion of Austria, in 3rd. It'll be the bell when they get through to the next 4 kilometers. Well, it is going to be a disrupting chase in this last lap that can disturb the rhythm of the sprinters, because they're letting this breakaway stay out there for just that little bit too long today. 11.8 kilometers. We go through at just under 8 kilometers to go. On to the last lap. hard work being done all of the time. She's still Ryder Hejdahl. Ricardo Zeudel, a champion of Austria, waiting to take up the chase behind if he can. He's on the Trek team. They have a couple of good sprinters in the Van Poppel brothers, Danny and Boy. So they'll be looking to get involved in the finish now. Last time they had a sprint a couple of days ago, they finished 8th and 9th on the stage, side by side. Oh, the perspiration now, all of a sudden, even in autumn, Beijing can be quite warm. And that's on the face of Laurent Mongel. Papa's coming home à la maison, is what he said on his little note to his daughter from China earlier. And he won't be going out training anymore, as his seasons are behind him now. 10 years of being a top pro. 2 minutes 5 seconds. They had 2:23. Slowly but surely. 10.7 kilometers to the finish. It's a good gap. It's a good gap. It's going to create quite a hectic chase. Possible, of course it is. But the chase could disrupt the positioning of the sprinters on some of these teams now. The bell is being made ready. 1 lap to go when they come through. 2 3/4 kilometers for the leaders to the finishing line for the last time they go through. Team Garmin Sharp now having to use riders to chase. Others will look for Tyler Farrer to defend, to lead him out. Wow, and that looks like that's enough of that one. That was Lachlan Norris who's gone off the front there, I think. That's his job done. Now we'll work to the teammates of Luka Mecic. These boys just getting on with it, still living and hoping. They know they're going to hear the bell, and then they'll be only just under 8 kilometers from the finishing line. They're heading up towards the finishing straight here at 9.8 kilometers. Still riding very, very quickly. This is not a foregone conclusion just yet, that they will be caught. And what a great ride it's been too. What a way to say goodbye to your sport, like Laurent Mongel is doing here, in the lead every lap, whatever happens at the finish line. Moreno Hoffland's team now coming through. The team here in the lime green tops, the Belkin team. They've got a very fast finish if he gets it right in Hoffland. He's the little chap at the end of those lime green jerseys. Well, the top professionals, they know what it takes to bridge a gap of this enormity, and they've left it late. Now they're all having a go. There's still no order of fire here. Meanwhile, let's go down to the straight, because very soon they're going to see 1 lap to go and hear the bell. Even the team cars are getting pretty excited now. They realize there is a possibility here, and they're just to make them drive on. What a finish it would be for Laurent Mongel of a career if they did survive and trick the riders. It's never been done in the 4 years of this race. The sprinters have always had their day, but you know they're going to go into this last lap with an outside chance of surviving. Belkin are beginning to throw everything they've got at this chase now. Well, you can hear the speaker also that everybody's beginning to wonder, can they do it? The clock is on screen. We're waiting for them to come through to the sounds of the bell as they race up this long straight. It's a difficult sprinter straight as well. So the 1 lap is showing, final lap. As they come up, huge cheers. The clock start now. They are just inside 8 kilometers from the finish of the Tour of Beijing, and they're beginning to think they might have a chance. It is possible the riders have left the chase that little bit too late. They had 2:23 last time through. What is it now? It's got to be around about 45 seconds, I would have thought, to have a real chance of this. And they are flying up this straight now. Ricardo Zeudel is the rider setting the pace. Clock counts on. It's now 35 seconds since the two front riders went through. This is going to be a desperate chase now. Well, sometimes the automation of the peloton does make mistakes. Not exactly the Swiss timing they were hoping for here, because we're heading up to 1 minute. As I speak, we go through 1 minute. To close a minute, I wonder, is Laurent Mongeal going to experience the thrill of a lifetime and say goodbye with a win in the Grand Tour, in the World Tour season? There's the clock. It's going to be a tough one, there's no doubt about that. So they go through 1:15. 1 minute 15 seconds. Possible? Yes. Probable? I don't know. Riders are putting the best turns in now and then selling out at the front. Not all the teams can chase, not all the teams want to chase. These are the riders now who could be going from start to finish in the lead. It's possible. 7 kilometers left. They are 1 kilometer behind them at the start of the last lap. Desperate moment. What started out as a lap of honor for the retiring professional Laurent Mongeal has become a desperate race to win the stage. They can't save anything for the sprint, of course they can't. They've got to use all their energy. They've got to stay friends right until the last 200 or 300 meters of the day. They must help each other survive if they can. The peloton scorching across the roads of the center of the People's Republic of China here in Beijing. Belkin got their riders on the front now. They do have a sprinter who could win this stage. But has he got the speed of Mechik? And that's Moreno Hofland, or indeed the speed of Tyler Farrar. Farrar changes teams next year, so he would love to win this and say goodbye to his team on a high note. He would also win the race on points if he did win. But as they continue up here, the Belkin boys, and just flicking his arm there, Steven van Kruiswijk flicks his arm, needs a little bit of help. It's the oldest man in the race, showing a fine pair of legs here at the moment. Pablo Lastraz, still trying to work out why he's helping the sprinters teams. They don't have a terrific sprint finisher back in that bunch of the quality here. Ryder Hezerdal. This is now towards the rear of the peloton, just in front of him, Eros Kopecky in that dark jersey. He was the rider that replaced Alejandro Valverde just days before this tour began. Team Sky trying to break in on the action as well. If they can catch these two riders, they could deliver Ben Swift to the line. That's their thought. 5.7 kilometers to go. These long, wide roads, it must feel like riding down an airstrip just now for these two boys. Nobody around them. 57 seconds. They pull back 18 seconds. At that rate of catch, it's going to be desperately, desperately close at the finishing line. They're still finding a fresh pair of legs here. And Mongeal looks at that. 57 secondes in French for him. As he looks at that, it is a possibility. He must think that way. 5.4 seconds. Team Sky were back to day one when they drove the race that took out the race leader of a year, race winner of a year ago, and put him 18 minutes behind. Now they're doing it again here as they try to keep up the pressure. The man doing the work is Phil Dignan from Ireland, and for Team Sky, what are these two thinking? They're probably not thinking anything at all. They're so desperate right now. Willing to help each other. They've got to help each other all the way till they can virtually touch the finishing line before they try to fight out the victory itself. It's one of those days when if they do get there, you'd love to see them both win. This is Ian Boswell, who's been a great team chaser for Sky, and he's doing it again now. How much faster can they go? These two boys are holding them off. As we skirt round the Olympic Park here in Beijing, they still have a lead. The cameras pull back. The peloton not yet in view. That's a huge, huge gap. There they are. It will go to the line. It's going to be desperately close for them. Have they totally misjudged it here? Misjudged the strength of those two riders who thought they'd just gone out for a stroll on a Tuesday afternoon in Beijing and be caught in the last couple of laps. That wasn't the way this one was meant to be. 4 kilometers to go. Oh, there's been a crash too in the peloton, and that is not what we want to see, because that is a member of the Orica Green Edge on the floor. It looks as though it's Simon Yates, the youngster from Britain, who's gone down. Touch your wheels, perhaps. But Yates is outside the last 3 kilometers of the race, so he would lose time. There's a rule in international cycling. Once you're inside 3 kilometers to go to the end of the day, you would get the time of the riders you are with when you fall. And that would have been the main field in this case. So Yates will lose time and his chance of a really high finish overall in this race. But he wasn't featuring in the actual classification that matters. There, back to the race. Now it's 3 kilometers to go. That rule would apply, for example, if the race leader Gilbert falls now. He would still get the same time as the riders around him. He would still win the Tour of Beijing. Remember, these two riders don't affect the red jersey race. Between them, they're a total of 57 minutes behind Gilbert as a group overall. 42 for Laurent Mangel and 15 for Tosh van der Sande behind. So this is for the stagemen, and what a way to take out the stage. They can't save anything now. They can't even look at the timer board. They must just get on with it. These are desperate moments now. Lotto Belisol throwing everything into the chase as well here. They've got a good sprinter in Greg Henderson. Team BMC driving up on the outside with Philippe Gilbert mixing in it too in that red jersey. Sacha Modulo's Lampre team coming through in the inside. They are absolutely scorching along now. It's all or nothing for the sprinters. And remember, even if they race for 3rd place, we're still going to concentrate on 2 riders winning the green jersey on points. Tyler Farrer, or the leader at the moment by a single point, Luka Mečik. 28 seconds the gap as the train is coming. Modulo's squad of Lampre driving at the front. A new wave of riders trying to come through from Belkin on the right for Moreno Hofland. 22 seconds the gap. It's going to be an awful long way up the home straight for those 2 riders at the front. A wide sweep by some men there. These are the 2 riders at the front. Still a little way to go. No time to look over your shoulder. They can only sit there and hope now. This catch could be in the home straight. 12 seconds. Desperate, almost a race-long lead of 117 kilometers. And I don't think they're going to make it. There's no fairy tale end to this day in the Tour of Beijing for Laurent Mangel. Now, a little bit of a hesitation here, because the teams have also got to concentrate on repositioning their sprinters for the finish at the same time as chase down the leaders. There's the peloton as they swing up towards the line now. Desperate moments. Mangel riding out his final bicycle race. He's seen the race and he says to Tosh van der Sande, that's it, forget it. The surrender at 1 kilometer to go. Can you believe the timing of that? Now it's Belkin trying to get on hand. Graham Brown second wheel to lead out Moreno Hofland for the Belkin team. The riders though also watch out for the arrival of the green jersey. I can't see him in the way, I can. He's right in the center, about 4 riders down. That is Luka Mečik, as he will also want the location of Tyler Farrer, who's off to the right of our picture. As we start to race up towards the line, every man for himself. It won't alter the overall result now of the Tour of Beijing. Gilbert will win that, but who's going to win the stage, and with it the green jersey here now? As the lead out man comes here. It could well be a lead out for Hofland here on the right of our picture. Mečik is still going to have to mix it through as they come up towards the line. Moreno Hofland being taken over by Sacha Modulo, who gets it on the line. Modulo gets it right on the line. Boxed in on the far left, and I have a feeling that Tyler Farrer was right in the mix there and got placed in front of Luka Mečik, and they could well have reversed. We are going to have to work that, but for me, Tyler Farrer may have reversed the overall, and it would go to count back. We could have 2 riders on the same point score here. Hey, I'm just a commentator. Let's wait and find out what they say. There's no doubt who the winner was. That's confirmed. Sacha Modulo got his stage win there. An absolutely confused win, and it was because of the late chase. They could not reorganize their sprinters there. No doubt who won the race, and that's Philippe Gilbert has got the victory. while Sacha Modolo gets his 8th win of the season. Last time he won a stage, it was stage 5 of the Tour of Switzerland back in June. He hasn't won since then. So he got the win he's been seeking throughout this race. Had a very unfortunate Tour de France. He left the race on only the 2nd day of the Tour de France in Yorkshire this year. It's all come good today in China. But we all want to know the rest of the result, because I have a feeling that we have a nail-biting finish. But I saw both Tyler Farrar and Luka Meček shake their heads as they crossed the line, because they were nowhere near the finishing first place. They were boxed in on the top of the rails. Meček is the rider there in green. Now watch this carefully. We're looking for the light blue jersey. There it is, a Farrar coming in. Then there's another place, and then on the far side is Meček. And that, for me, gives the victory to Tyler Farrar on points on this race. So Modolo and Greg Henderson is the rider on the left there in the red, who made a serious effort to try and steal a stage, and Modolo just getting the better of him. Edvard Boasson-Hagen on the wheel there of Henderson. Tyler Farrar right there with Moreno Hofland and Meček. Those are the 3 riders, both the 2 big riders split by Hofland for sure. And we'll wait and see. So it looks very much as though Tyler Farrar, he was 1 point behind overall at the start of this race. Just to explain, as we watch Philippe Gilbert here being congratulated, and well he might, by virtue of the 2nd day victory. And don't forget, he was the man that snuck a 1 second time bonus on day 1, and it made all the difference. But I believe that we're going to see Tyler Farrar win the points race as well. There's the stage result first. Sacha Modolo getting the victory ahead of the Kiwi rider Greg Henderson. From Norway, it's Boasson-Hagen in 3rd. Tyler Farrar of the USA 4th. Moreno Hofland, the Belgian, in 5th. And Luka Meček in 6th. And that's the crucial switch around. That's 2 points different. And Meček took a 1 point lead into today's race. This is the man who has won the Tour of Beijing, sadly the last Tour of Beijing. Philippe Gilbert gets a great stage race victory here. And funnily enough, the alteration of the race, when Gilbert was one of the riders leading the protest of the smog and the not perfect weather conditions, they altered the finish, and the finish suited him, and that's where he built his lead. Gilbert, Martin Chavez, Ferrari da Costa, Chinetsky, Barguil, all of these riders in the same situation as they were at the start of this day. No change in the final overall of the Tour of Beijing. It wasn't anticipated to be so. We knew it would be a sprint finish, although it nearly wasn't. Modolo getting the congratulations here. His 8th victory of the year. He started winning in Argentina in January. Since then, he's won in Italy, he's won in France, he's won in Portugal, he's won in Belgium, he's won in Switzerland. Today, he wins in China. Well, it looks the blue jersey over there, as though they voted Laurent Mongel in his last race the most aggressive rider of the day. That's a prize, so he'll come up on the podium. And there's confirmation of the points. Tyler Farrar wins the points by a single point, reversing the decision in the very last sprint. And yesterday, the very same thing happened to Farrar. He lost his lead by a point to Luka Meček. But it's who has the victory on the day, and this is the day when there's no racing tomorrow. So Tyler Farrar, in his very last performance for Garmin Sharp, has given them points victory here in the Tour of Beijing. He won the 3rd day of racing. And now we just we'll keep our coverage until we can show you the prize presentation here in Beijing. That was the catch. The red kite in the sky behind the head of Mongel. 1,000 meters to go to the finish. throws his hand up, as all Frenchmen do, saying they're right behind us, it's all over. So close, 1 kilometre from the finish. They led for 116 kilometres. But that late chase caused confusion in the pack. The sprinters were not organised. Modolo was second wheel here. The Belkin team looked to have had it right, but it wasn't to be. Greg Henderson in the red taking a good run at Sasha Modolo. Then came Bosenhagen as well. Then follows Farah in the light blue. Hofland stays in, just gets in behind Farah in front of Mechik. That was enough. You watch the far left of the picture, you might see the two principal contenders shake their heads. I noticed that in the sprint to the line. The blue jersey of Farah couldn't get through, boxed in, and also Mechik right on the fence there. We just cut the picture before you saw that. Both riders sort of shook their heads in unison. And a big victory here for Philippe Gilbert. Cannot believe it, he said only yesterday in the beginning he didn't really want to come to Beijing at the end of a long season. When he got here he complained about the weather conditions. Now he suddenly likes Beijing and the race in China. He's won it. His last victory in the stage race, he also won the small ZLM Tour in Holland for the 3rd time this year. Very similar race in many ways. This is the King of the Mountains ranking. That was easy to organise. There was no difference to yesterday. And now Mikael Golash has crossed the finish line. He keeps the King of the Mountains title this year. He's only won 1 professional race, but he's now won the King of the Mountains of the Tour of Beijing. Guillaume Boivin in the breakaway for a long time yesterday, moved into 2nd place. Julien Vermotte came up into 3rd, and Graham Brown in that breakaway yesterday actually finished there in 4th place. Now what we're seeing here is the man with the ironing board round the back of the presentation area, where they rapidly put the riders' principal sponsors on to the race winners' jerseys. Takes just a few seconds to do. Slightly different rules when you win the World Championships, as was the case in Ponferrada recently. They don't allow this to happen until after the presentation's been made. So Philippe Gilbert brings his season to a close with what will be his 7th victory of the season. His 74th as a professional, season beginning back in 2003. He's 32 years of age now, Gilbert. Still looks extremely fit. He's won some of the world's biggest cycling races. He was in Athens in the Olympic Games. Finished 49th in the road race back in 2004. I guess the bleeps mean the cakes are cooked. And there it is, perfectly done. So as we see the sponsor, that is the jersey which will go on the shoulders of the best young rider in this race, Esteban Chavez, and there it is, highest placed of the young men born after the 1st of January 1990, and Chavez just qualifies because his birthday is on the 17th of January 1990. 2nd place for Chenetsky and 3rd for Warren Barguil, and Carlos Verona taking 4th.
Sasha, una bella vittoria oggi, sempre importante una vittoria nel World Tour.
Sì, mi ci voleva soprattutto per me perché ho vinto lo Svizzera, l'ultima gara, e World Tour anche quella, poi da là al Tour sono stato male e all'Enico sono caduto e mi sono fatto male, da lì non sono più riuscito a riprendere la condizione. E adesso sono stato un mese a casa per cercare appunto di venire qua e fare bene e vincere. Per me è una soddisfazione enorme, anche per la squadra che ci ha creduto sempre in me e ha cercato di tutti i modi di finire bene questa stagione.
So Sasha, a good victory today, always important to win in the World Tour. Yes, my last victory was at the Tour de Suisse in the World Tour. After that I had some problems in the Tour de France. I crashed at the Eneco Tour, spent a month at home. So it's very good for me and it's very good for the teams. anche oggi è stato difficile raggiungere i due. Hai pensato che sarebbe possibile?
Sì, perché alla fine in due si fa sempre un po' di fatica. Siamo arrivati un po' al limite, ma abbiamo cercato di far lavorare le altre squadre per avere più uomini noi nel finale. Avevamo una squadra un po' stanca perché ha lavorato in precedenza per Rui Costa e io avevo solo 3 uomini e siamo riusciti a fare un bel treno, mi hanno lasciato nelle posizioni giuste e è andata bene.
So today was a close call. Did you think that you would get the two riders in front? Yes, it was close, but we tried to make the other teams work because we've worked a lot this week for Rui Costa, and in the end it worked out. Last question. So, così pensa del Giro di Pechino e dell'esperienza qui in Cina?
Ma io in Cina ci sono già stato 2 volte, ho fatto il Qingwei Lake, è un po' diverso, qui si sta sempre in zona Pechino, è un'esperienza da fare, un po' di sfortuna nelle prime tappe, ma insomma è andata bene, è un bel giro, porta anche un po' di ciclismo in tutto il mondo, quindi fa bene.
So what's your opinion of the Tour of Beijing and here in China? I've been twice in China already to the Tour of Qinghai Lake, so here it's a bit different, but it's a good race and it's good to take cycling to new territories. Okay, grazie.
Yes, well done. Alan Rumpf there, the overall organiser of the Tour of Beijing, conducting the interview in 2 languages. Well done, Alan. Well, this is the final result of the Tour of Beijing because it's a closing World Tour event. This is the World Tour final rankings. A victory, as I said earlier. Alejandro Valverde had already won the race before this, so he didn't come. Alberto Contador finishing second. Simon Gerrans in third. Rui Costa in 4th place and finishing 4th here in Beijing. Vincenzo Nibali, the winner of the Tour de France, he slots in 5th place. Nero Quintana, the winner of the Giro d'Italia, he's in 6th place. And Chris Froome, who's had a very good year in many ways. 7th place for Chris Froome, the English rider. Crashed out of the Tour de France but finished 2nd in the Vuelta a España. Further down, Alexander Kristoff taking 8th. Dan Martin and Jean-Christophe Perrault. Let's go back to the interviewer because I think we might have Philippe Gilbert.
Philippe, congratulations, the 2014 Tour of Beijing winner, and did it in style. Well done.
Thank you.
How was it today on the bike? The best way to see Beijing, roads closed, Tiananmen Square to the bird's nest, it was pretty relaxing for you.
No, it was really nice, but still stressful for the last lap because with a small gap like this, you know, the small advantage, 3 seconds. I had to be like ready for a gap or something in the final. So I took the before last corner in a really good position, and then I saw that it was okay because of the headwind in the last kilometer. I didn't take any risk, and then it was okay.
Did you think the breakaway would stay away? It looked like it with a lap to go.
Yeah, they will have deserved it. I think they did a good move. They were smart because I think they just speed up at the end, and yeah, sometimes the breakaway deserve to win also.
The stage race on stage 2 changed the complexion of the race, the shorter stage and the uphill finish, which worked in your favour, but the key moment for you was the climb yesterday. Is that the way you see the race?
Yeah, yesterday it was for me a very big effort because on a climb more than 10k normally I'm suffering a lot, but there I was out there with the best climbers of this peloton, and yeah, for me it was a big effort, and I'm very happy about it. Yeah.
You're one of the senior members of the peloton, one of the leaders now. What are your thoughts on the Tour of Beijing and the fact that it's the final edition?
It was a great experience, and I'm glad that my name will be in this palmarès. I think it's pretty special to race here, to finish here also with those monuments, and those roads are very special. And I take it like as a chance to race on a place like this.
All right, congratulations. Before you have to go get the presentation, the final presentation, but there's someone that wants to say hello to you, and I'll bring him in. Mr. Panda, come on quickly. He's coming.
And so we'll go back out and see the presentation while Gilbert makes his newfound friend there happy. And this is Sasha Modolo getting the stage win. And I wonder if he realised it was stage 5 of the Tour of Switzerland, his last victory this year, because this is stage 5 also of the Tour of Beijing for him. Yeah, it's a great victory indeed, and one that he's worked hard for. He's come here looking for that win. He had a terrible Tour de France where he left on the second day. He was sick, I believe, as he abandoned the race there. There's the finishing line to our left, and that white truck on the front side is the presentation area, and we'll wait now to see the principal overall winners of this year's Tour of Beijing. I think there's a lot of sad hearts here that this will be the final Tour of Beijing. The editions being won by the big names of world cycling indeed. The first 2 editions won by Tony Martin, the great German and former world time trial champion. And last year by Benyar Insausti from the top team at Movistar. This year, Philippe Gilbert from Team BMC. Big victory for him, and that's what he's won. The winner's red jersey. Win number 7 this season for Gilbert. He only had 2 wins last year, but it was a very good stage when it closed his season a year ago. He won the stage of the Tour of Spain. That didn't come to Beijing and hasn't been here until this year. And he's now not going to forget this at all, as he's part of the honours list of the Tour of Beijing as a winner.
The winner of the Tour of Beijing of 2014, Philippe Gilbert.
Oh, I wonder if he was throwing that at that child there, was enjoying the occasion. Let's hope so. Let's hope he got it. Little mascot. Everybody wants the mascots.
At the end of today's presentation, we're going to move on now to present the green jersey as the winner of the race on points. 接下来要颁发的是冲刺积分排名第1，也就是冲刺王的荣誉。And to present the awards, we welcome Mr. Ban Guoling, Deputy Director of Chaoyang Sports Bureau, and Mr. Lin Juji, the General Manager of UCC. 欢迎颁奖嘉宾，北京市朝阳区体育局副局长班国良先生。
Well, this is going to come out with a broad smile on his face, I'm sure about that. Tyler Farrar stealing the green jersey on the last day of what I think is the final ride for him with Team Garmin Sharp. What a way to go out.
From Garmin Sharp, Tyler Farrar. 冲刺王绿衫获得者来自佳明车队泰勒法拉。
Got his first win for a year a couple of days ago, then lost his green jersey lead yesterday, and he's taken it back today. It's been a very good competition for the points in the Tour of Beijing this year. He'll ride for the African team MTN Quebec next year.
The green jersey of this year's race from Garmin Sharp, Tyler Farrar. 冲刺王佳明车队泰勒法拉。 Thank you, Tyler. We will welcome him back onto the stage later on. We're going to move on now to the rider who has climbed the mountains the best this week, and we present the King of the Mountains polka dot jersey. 接下来要颁发的是爬坡积分第1名，也就是爬坡王原点山荣誉。 To present the awards, we welcome to the stage Mr. Alan Rushton, the race consultant of Global Cycling Promotion, and Mr.
Bringing out now the winner of the King of the Mountains. He won this competition yesterday, Mikhail Golash, with a long escape on day 3 of the race. He amassed enough points to hold on to the end.
The winner of the King of the Mountains, riding for Omega Pharma Quickstep, Mikhail Golash.
You'll be delighted with this. He's been a professional since 2007. He's always raced for Belgian teams.
And so we present the Jackaroo
very strong bike rider. The only race he's won, 2012, was the National Road Race Championship of Poland. Alan Rushton there, the technical director of the race, the man responsible for plotting the route of the riders from the United Kingdom.
And we present him with the special awards and the mascots. And then we'll ask Miguel to stand on the top step of the podium for us. There we are, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the King of the Mountains Aerobic Farmer Quick Step, Miguel Goash.
It's been a great year in professional cycling for Poland. They also won the King of the Mountain, Rafał Majka, in the Tour de France. That was also a first. Majka winning 2 stages of that race. That's also a record for Poland in the Tour de France.
On today's stage. And to present the awards, we welcome Mr. Hai Cheng-wen, the Director of BSCAC, and we welcome Mr. Chang Shi-chen, the Deputy Chief of Branding and PR of the Changxi Changhu Company.
欢迎颁奖嘉宾，北京市体育竞赛管理中心主任海振文先生，江西昌河汽车有
That's
限
the
责任公
beautiful
司销售
golden plate. Each of the primary winners go, and this looks like it's a presentation. We'll just listen to Anthony McCross and let him tell us.
2 riders, it was so close to a victory, but the most aggressive rider we present on the last day of his career from FDJ, Ron Mangel.
Extremely proud Frenchman there, whose family are undoubtedly watching these pictures as Laurent Mangel gets his last prize of a career which has sped 10 years at the highest level of cycling, and in all bar 900 meters he led the race today with Tosh van der Sande, so close to a fairy tale ending to his career.
He retires today as we send him on his way. Now he will have no more sore legs. He can spend time with his daughter, Laurent Mangel of FDJ.
So as Mangel disappears, just the principal winners, I think.
Rider in this year's race.
接下来要颁发的是最佳年轻车手，也就是新人王白山荣誉。
And to present the awards, we welcome Mr. Wang Mingdong, the Deputy Manager of Sonova BIAC Motor, and Mr. Meng Wei Ming, the Director of the Media Center of Beijing Sports Bureau.
欢迎颁奖嘉宾，绅宝北京汽车销售有限公司副总经理王明东先生，以及北京市体育局新闻中心主任孟维明先生，欢迎。
The best young rider in this year's race. Please welcome him. Riding for Orica Greenwich, Esteban Chavez.
And of course he comes out with a big smile on his face. He does nothing but smile. And he's got the best young rider prize here and a long future ahead of him as well.
Esteban Chavez finishing second on
As Esteban Chavez wins the best young rider competition with a fine 3rd place finish in the race, losing in the end by just 9 seconds in the overall. Straightens out the jersey. He won the 6th stage of the Amgen Tour of California, where he finished 7th amongst the race there in America back in May. He won a stage of the Tour of Switzerland. Now he's 3rd here. Just 24 years of age. Be 25 years of age next January. First year on the World Tour squad, Orica Greenedge. First World Tour season for him. Expect to see a lot of him as the years unfold.
And first of all, to present the plate and the special awards, we welcome Mr. Chen Ji, Deputy Director of the Beijing Sports Bureau, and Mr. Wang Mingdong, Deputy Manager of Sonova BAIC Motor.
欢迎颁奖嘉宾，北京市体育局副局长陈杰先生，绅宝北京汽车销售有限公司副总经理王明东先生，欢迎。
And the winning team of this year's race, please welcome, based in Australia, Orica Greenedge.
And out come the team of Orica Green Edge. They had a little bit of bad luck just outside the 3 kilometre mark today when Adam Yates crashed to the ground, but the rest are up here at the moment. The 8-man team winning the team race, led of course by the white jersey winner Esteban Chavez. This is Jens Maurice, nearest camera with the beard, the Dutch member of the squad. Daniel Impey there just chatting in the centre and having a good laugh as well. The team champions, the last World Tour event of the year. Sam Bewley on the left, Matthew Heyman alongside him, Commonwealth Games champion when they were held in Delhi in 2010. So they all get a mascot now. Rather serious face there, the youngster, the youngest man in the race, Caleb Ewan. Tried to get a stage win, didn't quite work out, but he came close.
Welcome now to the stage to present the champagne. 好的，下面我们首先有请陈杰先生以及王明东先生移步，我们稍后将会进行香槟庆祝仪式。
Simon Yates, the rider who is not on the stage there, so let's hope he's not been too badly hurt with that fall he had. He was in 14th place, but he crashed outside 3 kilometres to go, so he would have lost that 14th place finish overall today. It just highlights how careful you really do have to be. Had he fallen inside the 3 kilometres to go, he would have got the same time and he would have retained his place in the overall classification. That's the international regulation, because those last 3 kilometres when you're racing for the line are dangerous, and the sport recognises that you shouldn't lose perhaps 3 weeks of racing because of a fall inside the last 3 kilometres. But if you fall outside the last 3 kilometres, I'm afraid the clock keeps ticking. Happy celebrations, the Australian team Orica Green Edge, and I know that the Australian Embassy is throwing a little bit of a party here for members of the Australian delegation here in Beijing tonight. So they've got plenty to tell him when they go along there. That's if they're all invited, of course. Now we just, I guess, need to see the top 3 finishers in the race.
Contributed to the team performance. That's not the end of the presentations, because we're going to now move on and call back our top 3 riders in this year's race. 大家千万不要走开，我们的重头戏还没有开始，我们稍后将会颁发2014年环北京职业公路自行车赛总季军、总亚军以及总冠军的头衔。 And to present the 3rd place rider, we welcome Mr. Li Waimin, the General Manager of Ranking, and Mr. Alan Ruff, the Director of Global Cycling.
So we're going to see the return now of Mr. Smiler, Esteban Chavez, who's the 3rd place finisher and best young rider in the race. He'll be followed on by Dan Martin for the 2nd year, 2nd overall in the race. And the winner, of course, Philippe Gilbert.
Riding for Orica Green Edge, Esteban Chavez. 欢迎2014环北京职业公路自行车赛季军获得者，来自绿阵车队的夏维斯。Soaked in champagne, but the 3rd place rider in this year's race, and the best young.
Thoroughly delighted with his result here. He tried desperately to have a great result in the Vuelta de España, and for the first week he was up amongst the leaderboard, but he got a little bit tired towards the end. I just know he's joined a great team, because if you smile like that in amongst the team of Australians, you'll always have a good time. I think he should stay out there as number 3. Which side shall I have? Try that one. That's it.
3rd place in the general classification. to Liu Baozu, the Vice President of the Beijing Sports Federation, and Mr. Bai Hu Chen, the General Manager of KPT.
接下来要颁发的是个人总成绩第2名，欢迎颁奖嘉宾北京市体育总会副主席刘宝所先生，以及北京康比特体育科技股份有限公司总经理白厚增先生，欢迎。
And now the second place rider in the 2014 race, riding for Garmin Sharp, Daniel Martin.
Well, last year Dan Martin lost this race by 10 seconds. This year he loses it by 3. He's getting closer, but sadly he won't be back to try and win it next year.
And so we present him with the plate for the second place position.
Terrific season for the Irishman, coming here fresh off the win in the Tour of Lombardy Classic in Italy. Tried desperately to win yesterday. And the irony is, if he hadn't have been one of the riders who complained about the air conditioning down at Yanqing, which cleared away before the finish, they wouldn't have altered the finishing line, and the sprint would not have suited Philippe Gilbert, and Martin would have won the race this year.
Thank you to our presenters. Daniel, please stay on the stage. We're going to move on now to present the winning rider in this year's Tour of Beijing and welcome him back to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back onto the stage the winner of the Tour of Beijing, riding for BMC Racing, Philippe Gilbert.
Yes, Philippe Gilbert, one of the finest cyclists to come out of the Belgian Ardennes, where French is the first language there. His countrymen speak mainly Flemish or French, though German is also in there as well. But this is a huge result for Philippe Gilbert. Victory at the end of the season. That'll go down well back home. The top 3 in the 4th and final edition of the Tour of Beijing. Philippe Gilbert, the winner. On the left of our picture, Dan Martin, 2nd. 3 ties he's been here, 2 seconds and the 4th, the answer. And Chavez, his first visit, and he takes Best Young Rider and 3rd overall. The final roll call before we pull down the curtain. Oh, I think the champagne went down well there with Philippe Gilbert. They don't grow any champagne in Belgium, but I'm sure he likes it when it comes this way.
The race consultant of Global Cycling Promotion.
接下来我们有请今天所有的获奖车手上台，开启香槟庆祝，欢迎颁发香槟的颁奖嘉宾，有请 UCC 运动自行车总经理吴亚谋先生、捷库美国公司经理 Derek Wiseman 先生以及全球自行车运动促进中心竞赛顾问阿兰莱斯顿先生，欢迎。
And of course, we can't finish the Tour of Beijing without welcoming onto the stage the panda, who has been the mascot of this year's race. Give him a big round of applause.
我们再次有请出200号车手，非常萌萌的熊猫。
Now please welcome back to the stage winner of today from Longpre Marina, Sasha Modelo. Also welcome back Tyler Farrar, the green jersey from Garmin Sharp, the king of the mountains from Omega Pharma Quickstep.
So happy moments, and Tyler Farrar now takes victory for his Garmin Sharp team, gives them the points jersey while he himself leaves the team that has been very close to his heart these last few years. He's grown up with them and he now moves on to take his experience to the African setup, MTN Quebecer. Mikael Golash gets the victory in the King of the Mountains. The champagne is out. And Laurent Mongel shakes the bottle for the last time in the blue there as he retires from the sport. And again, the newfound friend of Dan Martin, the panda, is on stage with him.
Esteban Chavez and Daniel Martin. Thank you to all of you. Give them a big, big round of applause. 我们最后再用最热烈的掌声和热情，送给今天所有获奖车手。
So there we are, the pandas left alone on the stage here as the curtain comes down on the 4th and final edition of the Tour of Beijing, which has brought to world-class cycling to China. And during those 4 years, we've seen the development of 1 or 2 top cyclists now make their way to Europe, like Yi Cheng, who has now ridden and completed his first Tour de France, and that a first for China. And this the 4th World Tour event. As we take a quick final spin around the stadia here, which brought Beijing to the people of the world in 2008. 1 or 2 of those cyclists are still riding here this week. It's been a great week, and it also brought the 2014 World Tour to a close and the cycling season. I hope you've enjoyed following the 5 days of the World Tour of Beijing with us. We certainly enjoyed bringing it to you. Till the next time, this is Phil Liggett saying we'll see you during the 2015 season, but for now, from me, it is goodbye.